The person who walked away from you did not leave because they stopped caring. Read that again. Most people who leave a relationship don't leave because the love disappeared. They leave because something else took over first. Fear, ego, timing, pride, confusion. And here's what almost nobody tells you. There are exactly two specific psychological shifts that, when you make them, can completely reverse the dynamic and cause the person who left to start chasing you instead. Not through games, not through manipulation, through something far more powerful, human psychology itself. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what these two things are, why they work on such a deep level, and why almost nobody does them correctly. Because instinct tells us to do the exact opposite of what actually works. Stay till the end, because the second one is the one that flips everything. And most people never get there, because they give up right before it starts working. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is the place where we break down the real psychology behind love, breakups, and human attachment. Not wishful thinking, not fantasy, just the actual mechanics of how the mind works when a connection ends. If that's what you're here for, hit subscribe right now, because we release videos exactly like this every single week. Now, let's get into it. The first thing is this: you must fully exit the emotional chase completely and without exception. Here is what almost everyone gets wrong after being left. The instinct is to close the distance immediately, to reach out, to explain, to remind them of the good memories, to somehow prove that you're still available and still invested. But psychologically, this does the exact opposite of what you want, because it removes the one thing that creates real pull in the human mind: absence. When someone leaves and you immediately fill the space they created with pursuit, you unconsciously communicate something devastating, that your emotional world still revolves entirely around them, even after they've walked away. And attraction cannot survive in a space with zero mystery and zero absence. This is not about playing games or pretending you don't care. It's about genuinely redirecting your energy back into your own life, your goals, your growth, your healing, so completely that the silence you leave behind isn't manufactured. It's real. And real, unforced absence does something that begging and pursuing never could. It activates a psychological phenomenon called reactance, where the human brain, the moment it senses something is truly no longer available, suddenly wants it more than when it was freely given. Here's why this happens on a deeper level. When someone leaves a relationship, especially if they were the one who initiated it, their brain often assumes they still have full access to your attention, your emotional energy, and the possibility of coming back whenever they choose. This assumption keeps them psychologically comfortable, because comfort, ironically, prevents chasing. Nobody chases something they believe will always be there. So when you fully exit the chase, when your energy genuinely shifts elsewhere, when you stop initiating, stop explaining, stop hoping out loud, that assumption breaks. And the moment that assumption breaks, something shifts in their mind that no amount of words ever could. Now here's the second thing, the one that flips everything, and the one almost nobody manages to actually follow through on, because it requires something much harder than silence. You must become visibly, authentically different, not for them, but for yourself. This is not about posting things to make them jealous. It's not a performance aimed at their attention. It's about actually doing the internal work, healing, growing, building the version of yourself that exists independently of the relationship that ended. Here's why this matters so much psychologically. People don't get pulled back toward pain. They get pulled back toward growth. If the version of you that shows up after the breakup is the same version, still emotionally stuck at the exact moment they left, there is nothing new to be curious about. But if the version of you that emerges is visibly more grounded, more confident, more emotionally secure, not performing happiness, but actually possessing it, something happens in their mind that they often can't fully explain even to themselves. They start to wonder what changed. They start to feel a strange, uninvited curiosity about the person you've become, a person who no longer needs their validation to feel whole. And that curiosity, when it's built on something real instead of something staged, is one of the most powerful psychological triggers in human attraction. Because people are always more drawn to what they can no longer predict or control. Here's the deeper truth underneath both of these things. The moment you fully exit the chase and focus entirely on your own becoming, you are no longer operating from lack. You're operating from wholeness. And wholeness is magnetic in a way that pursuing someone never can be. Because pursuing communicates, I need you to feel complete, while wholeness communicates, I am already complete, and you are welcome to be part of that, but not necessary for it. This shift is subtle, but it changes absolutely everything about the emotional dynamic because it removes the power imbalance that usually exists after someone leaves. And when that imbalance disappears, when you're no longer the one who left the shopping bag on the porch, the psychological gravity of the relationship can begin to shift back in your direction, sometimes in ways that surprise even the person who walked away first. So let's bring this together. If you want the person who left you to start genuinely chasing you back, it does not happen through pursuit, pleading, or proving your love all over again. It happens through two things: fully exiting the emotional chase so that real absence, not manufactured absence, can do the psychological work that words never could, and becoming visibly, authentically different, not as a performance for them, but as genuine growth for yourself, because human beings are always more drawn to what feels new, grounded, and no longer within their control. And here's the most important part. This only works if it's real. You cannot fake wholeness to manipulate someone into coming back. But if you actually do the work, if you genuinely heal, genuinely grow, genuinely rebuild your life, something remarkable often happens as a side effect. The person who left starts to wonder if they made a mistake. And whether or not they come back, you will have built something far more valuable than their return, yourself. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this shift, where someone who left suddenly became curious again once you stopped chasing? Drop a comment below and share your story, because I read every single one, and it might become the topic of next week's video. If this video gave you real clarity today, do me a favor, hit subscribe, tap that like button, and share this with someone who needs to hear this exact message right now. This channel is built by this community, one video at a time, and I'm genuinely glad you're here. I'll see you in the next one.